And we are back. Once again, you're listening to the MeanGene Show right here on KDWN 720 AM 101.5 FM here in Las Vegas. Imagine having to prepare daily meals for over 400 people during an NFL training camp. We were fortunate enough to reach out to one of the lead chefs for the Tennessee Titans, Anwar Smith, to find out what's involved when it comes to nutrition of NFL players during the NFL training camps, preseason, and the regular season. All right, folks, as you know, the NFL preseason is just about to get underway. And as we had mentioned here before, we are going to be all over the league talking about the NFL season, which is right around the corner. But we are going to do something a little bit different here today. I have a special guest on joining me from the Tennessee Titans. He is one of the chefs for the Tennessee Titans, and he's joining us here on the MeanGene Show. His name is Anwar Smith. Anwar, how are you, man?
Hey, how you going?
Hey, man, it's good to have you on the show. I'm doing great, and I know that the NFL season is right around the corner, and we're in this thing called preseason now. So, do you follow a lot of football, or do you just mainly focus on what's happening, as far as preparing meals for the players?
Yes, I focus a lot on football. I don't think you have a choice to. You gotta follow it.
I hear you, man, and this is interesting because like I told you before we came on the air, I've never interviewed a chef for one of the NFL teams, so I got a ton of questions, but not that many. I scaled it down to a couple of good questions, but one of the questions I want to know is because during the preseason, you get a lot of players there. So, and then as they go through these preseason games, they make a lot of cuts. So you're cooking for like how many people right now?
It's probably about 200 players, maybe, and the staff, interns, things like that. So I want to say maybe a total 300 to 400.
Oh my goodness!
People.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now the meals that you're preparing now, or how different are the meals you're preparing now as far as the meals that you would prepare for the season once the season starts?
Everything is pretty much the same. It's just that the quantity will be more, so it'll be more food. But everyone it's pretty much the same. The food menu really don't change too much.
Okay, and let's talk about the menu. So actually, what's on the menu for the players? I know they practicing twice a day. They're in the pads, and so what does the menu look like?
The menu is wide range. We don't really do no fried foods, so everything is like basically nutritional, with a little touch to it, but it's pretty. I want to say is Americanized. It's pretty normal.
Okay.
Pretty normal. So whoever my executive chefs, he usually put the menu together, and we just go from there. But we try to cater to things that they might like and eat, and what they got with their diet plan. So it's up to them, and we've realized what they like the most and don't, and we swap out things in that menu like that.
Okay. So now, and do you ever get requests from coaches? Like, say, coaches might be looking at a particular player who's struggling with his weight, and they might say, "Hey, we really need something special for this guy because he's borderline."
Yes, all the time. Not too often because the players are very great with that, but here and there, the nutritionist might come and say something, but that's kind of rare.
Okay, folks. Once again, we are talking with Anwar Smith. He is a chef for the Tennessee Titans here on the MeanGene Show, KDWN 720 AM, Las Vegas. So now Tennessee, Nashville, there's some good food down there in the South. So, and I heard you mention earlier that no fried foods, but you mean you guys don't throw in no catfish and no collard greens or nothing like that in there?
Yes. We do. But mainly it's baked and seared. But nothing really fried. So baked and seared. But yes, we get all the good stuff. But we just substitute the grease.
I got you. Now, and another question I want to know. So now, do you guys prepare meals for the team only in Nashville, or do you also go on the road with the teams?
No, we're just at the practice facility.
At the practice facility. Gotcha.
So during training camp, we work about 70 hours a week, 60 to 70. And then as the season starts, things are a little bit more like set in stone.
Okay. It's good stuff here. I mean, it's something that I just really didn't know. But now, one of the other things I want to know about is the players. Like players, how much interaction do you actually have with the players, and do they sort of, No, go ahead.
No, there's a lot of interaction with the players. I think they're all great guys. They all pretty humble, and they don't look down on the cooks. They actually appreciate us a lot, and they let us know that all the time. So it's very great. You feel like you know them. Coming from where I come from, North Philadelphia, to be around millionaires all day is kind of fun.
Hey, now speaking of being around millionaires, a lot of the players, they buy gifts for each other. The quarterback buy watches for maybe the linemen that block for them. So, do those players do anything special for you guys?
Yeah, they take care of us. They take care of us.
Gotcha.
They're great.
Gotcha. That's good stuff. Now, as a chef you guys get a chance to watch the football and stuff, and I know, do you ever think like, okay, well, you know what? If they didn't eat this particular food today, they probably would have won that game.
Oh no, no. The food is good.
Okay.
We take the compliment when they win the game. We say it's in the food.
Oh, it's not the food. That's great stuff, man. I know because players. I know how picky players are, and those guys are creatures of habit. I know. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, and that's. And I used to think they're picky too, but I can't say that no more. It's just like you said, they're creatures of habit. So I don't even think it's being picky. It's like, oh, I want that, and that's what I want.
That's great stuff.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Now I want to talk about the Titans a little bit because, the Tennessee Titans, you guys just picked up Julio Jones. I mean, it's a team that's been knocking on the door in the playoffs for the last couple of years, and now what did you guys say when the NFL added an additional week to the schedule? That's more work for you guys, right?
Yeah, it's fun, but it'll help me support my family. So we're kind of off during the off season, so they can add on that extra week. That I'm fine with that. I ain't got no complaints with that.
Including the playoffs, right? You want them guys to go as far as they can go, right?
Yes.
All right, man. This is some great stuff, Anwar. So I know you had a long day today, and as training camps continue to go, and good Lord, I didn't know you had to prepare meals for some 300-400 people. But hey, good luck taking care of those guys. Good luck with the season up there. And hey, we got to check back in on you if the Titans make the playoffs, which I kind of think they will. So we're going to talk about some of that good stuff you done served up there. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, folks. Anwar Smith, chef of the Tennessee Titans here on the Mean Gene Show right here, KDWN 720 AM, 101.5 FM, Las Vegas. That's some pretty good information that we didn't know as far as what it takes to feed all those players. So at least for those guys who won't make that 53-man roster, they're going to eat good for a few weeks, right? Um, Man, but I can't believe no fried catfish, especially in Tennessee. Man, that's just crazy. Although I can't argue with the baked or grilled catfish. That was pretty interesting. I will tell you that of all the professional teams that I have covered, and as far as what they eat and everything, baseball players are really, really spoiled. I remember one time I was in the Texas Rangers locker room, and they were playing the Minnesota Twins, and this was when we had Torrey Hunter on the show many years ago. But well, at least in the visitors' locker room, I can't really say what the Texas Rangers were eating, but the Minnesota Twins had a spread out there. I mean, just laid right out there in the middle of the locker room. Now, this is not pregame. This is postgame. So maybe it's a little bit different after you play a game. They won a game. I think they beat the Rangers that particular weekend. Um, I was there, but the food, man, it was crazy. And the same thing I've seen with the Chicago White Sox when I was covering them up there in Chicago. But I will also say that the pregame media meals are different too. Now that's like big time. The Los Angeles Lakers, oh my goodness, they used to feed us pretty good up there. The Los Angeles Clippers in the Staples Center, the media meal. But I could also say that the Texans, the Houston Texans, probably as far as any NFL team that I've seen as far as a media spread before the game, it's unbelievable at NRG Stadium. I mean, it's kind of like if you've been to Las Vegas and if you had a chance to go to the Cosmopolitan and eat at the buffet at the Cosmopolitan, well, that's pretty much the same setup that the media gets at the Houston Texans at NRG. Hey, it's crazy. It's you name it, whatever you want. It's kind of out there. Maybe not as lavish as the Cosmopolitan here in Las Vegas, but pretty damn close to it. And of all the NFL teams, and the Dallas Cowboys as well, uh, have a pretty good. Yeah, I mean, come on, Jerry's just gonna throw it all out there, for the media. And some places, and it's crazy. Some places, you're expecting this good meal because you're a member of the media, and then you go up to find out all you got is hot dogs. And I know the Houston Astros, they have a little media kitchen there for pregame stuff, and it's not what you think. As a matter of fact, the people inside Minute Maid Park are eating better food than what the media is getting. And I know some it just depends. Some organizations like the sport of media when it comes to pregame meals and snacks and all of that stuff. But that's some pretty good information from the Tennessee Titans, and of course, Anwar's job is going to get a lot easier. Like I said, when they get down to that 53-man roster. But what do you think about the fact that when they lose a game, they lose a game, and hopefully you don't have players throwing up and stuff after they eat the team meals, but certainly they are going to take all the credit for when the team wins a game, as he said. So that's some great stuff. Thought you would enjoy that. We are going to talk fantasy football. How about that? Fantasy football. You should be pretty much thinking about joining a league or two. I mean, you have a lot of choices out there. The NFL.com, they have a fantasy league. You can go to Yahoo. Yahoo has one of the biggest ones, CBS, or whatever you follow, whatever major sports entity you follow, CBS Sports, whatever. But this is critical stuff here. So because the NFL preseason is shortened down to 3 games, fantasy owners are going to have to make some choices that they didn't really think they would be making as far as with not having all of those preseason games, and don't even count the one between the Cowboys and and the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Hall of Fame game, but you certainly have to really pay attention to the depth chart as far as at every position, mainly offense positions, because when it comes to fantasy football, you take a team's defense too early to tell what defenses you're gonna take. But and some people will stick with a defense for the entire season, or you can draft a couple of different defenses, or just switch them out. Sometimes it's all about matchups. It's all about what defense is versus what offense for that particular week. So not a lot of emphasis on defense, but running backs and quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs mainly. Are huge for fantasy football. So over the next couple of weeks, you will have your choice of deciding. Saquon Barkley a couple of years ago, I took him, and rookie running backs are very critical. I remember Josh Jacobs. I had a chance to draft him. Ezekiel Elliott, when he was a rookie, I drafted him. And these guys, I mean, every once in a while you will get a rookie that's going to shine. Wide receivers, man, teams are really going deep. Uh, when it comes to wide receivers, it's not so much the big name. You can look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They got a slew of wide receivers, and you never know if it's going to be Godwin or if it's going to be Vincent Jackson. You just don't know who Tom Brady's going to put the ball to. It could be Antonio Brown, and now with the Tennessee Titans, you have Derrick Henry. You also have AJ Brown and Julio Jones now. So it's all about just trying who's going to be the top person. But don't sleep on these rookies because rookies are playing a lot. The tight end position, the rookies, everyone is touching the ball. So last year, for me, it was difficult. I don't know about you as a fantasy football player because it was a pandemic year. So you just really, didn't know who was going to play due to COVID, who was out, and you really, really, really had to do your homework. As far as when it came down to picking players for your fantasy football team. But quarterbacks, some folks will draft, who they think is going to be the top quarterback. But it's not all about the popularity. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, Big Ben, some of those guys. If you had Big Ben last year, especially the first half of the year for fantasy football, you probably did pretty damn good until they got into a situation where they couldn't win anymore. And Big Ben, wasn't putting up big numbers. And I can recall needing just maybe a point or two or whatever just to get a win in fantasy football. And Big Ben just didn't have that type of a game. So it's not all about the big name players. It's all about the matchups. Who, you've played fantasy football before, so you know what I'm talking about. But this is for people who hasn't, never played it, thinking about playing it, getting into leagues. There's a ton of them out there, but you have to have all your choices made before the start of the NFL season, which is September 9th. So this is why the preseason is so important for you to go and look at these players and see exactly who you want to take and choose. So it's going to be exciting, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. Jacob Meadows, a contributor for the Mean Gene Show, he's going to come on next week. We're going to go over more fantasy football options, and we're also going to get caught up on the entire NFL, all 32 teams, all of the divisions. We have to make our selections as far as who's going to win each division, including the playoffs and the Super Bowl 56, which is going to take place at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, California. Hey, quickly, before I forget, folks, the WNBA second half of the season is getting underway for the Las Vegas Aces. That will take place tomorrow. Actually, the Aces are going to get back in action. They will host the Washington Mystiques. And on Thursday, I had a chance to talk to Bill Lambier, De'Erica Hamby, and Kia Stokes about the second half of the season and what it's going to take to be ready. And Bill Lambier told me that one of the most important things were coming off such a long break due to the Olympics, that conditioning was going to be critical, and so the players agreed. Derica and Kia Stokes also agreed that conditioning would be a major part of focus as far as getting ready for the second half of the season. But I will tell you, as far as the WNBA standings, the Seattle Storm and the Las Vegas Aces are number one and number two in the overall standings, with the Aces being one game behind the Seattle Storm. As you know, those two teams, a lot of history between those two teams. So this game, and the Connecticut Sun is right there as well, 14-6. They're only half game behind the Las Vegas Aces. So the second half of the season is going to be very critical. This Las Vegas Aces team is really, really good. So make sure you get your tickets for the second half of the season. Go out there and see as many games as possible. It was quite interesting talking to Bill Lambier. I haven't really interviewed him in a long time. The last time I think I talked with Bill Lambier, he was the head coach of the Detroit Shock. And that was, man, many, many moons ago. But he is doing a hell of a job in the WNBA, and I think the Aces are quite fortunate to have him as their head coach. We mentioned there were 10 scheduled games for today. One of those involves the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Seattle Seahawks. For the second time in a week, Raiders fans would get a chance to visit Allegiant Stadium. A few got a chance to see practice there last week, but this would be the first official preseason game, and it's going to come at a price. Tickets for this preseason game would cost more than any preseason game in NFL history, about $200 plus for a preseason game. Good luck if you're planning to take a family of four. I mean, that's going to cost you, what, a second mortgage and possibly a repossession, but just kidding. Anyway, you get my point. We're not even talking regular season tickets. Those ticket prices would probably cost you a loved one. But anyway, as far as tonight's game against Seattle, this is a very young Raiders team. However, a few veterans are expecting to be on the field. One of them is the newly acquired Gerald McCoy. Now, McCoy sat out the entire season last year due to injury. And, you know, at 33 years old, it's going to be interesting to see what he has left in the tank. And how about fullback Alec Ingold, who was a key player last season, blocking for Josh Jacob and scoring a few touchdowns himself. Ingold provides the Raiders with a few options in the backfield. Another addition, and this is not even a player, but how about a coach, will showcase his defense tonight against the Seahawks. All eyes will be on defensive coordinator Gus Bradley as he tries to implement a scheme for the Raiders defense, perhaps something similar to what he did during his days with the Seahawks from 2009 to 2012. Under Bradley, the Seahawks won the NFC West with their Legion of Boom defense and won the Super Bowl in 2013. So believe me, expectations are going to be high for Gus Bradley and the Raiders this year. That's going to do it for tonight's show. Hope you enjoyed it. I want to thank Tennessee Titans Chef Anwar Smith for joining us. I also want to wish a speedy recovery to my assistant, Rayleigh Cadenhead. She's recovering from COVID-19, and we wish her the best. I will see you back here next week for week 2 of the NFL preseason on the MeanGene Show, KDWN, 720 AM, 101.5 FM, Las Vegas.